The Stool. Greta glanced over her shoulder to make sure that her toddler daughter, Charlotte, was still quite content and playing with her doll in a safe corner of the kitchen. Her husband, Patrick, strolled in, head down, a wooden contraption in his hands. He was turning it this way and that. "What you got there, Pat?" He mumbled his answer while continuing to examine what Greta assumed was the latest from his woodwork shed. She shook her head and went back to kneading the dough for tomorrow's bread with half an eye on a simmering saucepan. Charlotte looked up at the sound of her dad's voice. "Dada!" Charlotte was always delighted to see her dada. Charlotte was such a happy child, she was actually always delighted to see anybody. Pat placed the wooden contraption next to where his daughter was playing. She reached her arms up, beaming, knowing that a cuddle was coming. Lifting her from the floor, Pat briefly clasped her to his chest, and then he stooped down to sit her onto the... "You made a stool?" Wiping her floury hands on a tea towel, Greta came to stand beside her husband. "Tool!" piped Charlotte. "Tool!" Patrick nodded in the direction of Greta's round stomach. "The next one can use it." And when he nodded towards Charlotte, "gets too big for it." And that's exactly how it went. Charlotte's baby brother Glenn did indeed use the stool when Charlotte outgrew it. By then, Pat had painted the raw wood a vibrant forest green. He sanded and repainted it fire engine red when he passed the stool on to his younger brother for his new family. Over the years, Pat's wooden contraption became a plant stand, a footstool, and then went back to being an ordinary stool again when the next generation of children came. Charlotte had vague memories of the stool her dad had crafted, and she smiled in delight when on a visit to one of her cousins it came out of storage for Charlotte's young son to sit on. "Where on earth did this come from?" "I think your mom or dad gave it to us when we were kids," came the reply. "I can't believe it's still in such good nick," she said. In truth, the stool was looking quite sorry. It needed cleaning and a new coat of paint. She asked her cousin if she could take it with her. As soon as she was able to, she took the old stool to her parents. Her dad made one of his vague, non-committal sounds when she handed it to him. He turned it around a few times, tugged at the legs and picked at the flaking paintwork. "Won't take long to get it back," he said. A few hours' work was all it took for Pat to make sturdy again one of his first woodwork projects, because that's what the stool was. It should have been consigned to the wood chipper, but he didn't have the heart. He could still see his children, his nieces and nephews sitting on it while drinking from their bottles and beakers. Safe for use once more, the stool ended up in the cupboard under Greta's and Pat's stairs until they were forced to downsize and moved to a bungalow some years later. From there, they lent it to a neighbour when the neighbour's grandkids came to visit, and there it stayed until Greta passed away and Pat moved into a nursing home. Charlotte, her husband, and her brother Glenn were cleaning and preparing the bungalow for sale when a neighbour approached them with a small wooden contraption with faded orange paint and a missing leg. She apologised for its condition, saying that an older child had sat on it and that she hadn't had the courage to return it broken before now. "With you selling the house and everything, it didn't seem right that I keep this any longer," she said. "I feel like it meant something to your dad." Charlotte blinked back tears. She looked over at Glenn and saw that he was struggling with his emotions too. They thanked the neighbour, grateful that she hadn't just dumped it. Glenn turned the broken old stool this way and that, much as his dad had done so many times over the years. "We'll get someone to restore it," he said. "Dad would like that." Glenn took on the task of finding a carpenter, someone who did restorations and who would respect the rough craftsmanship inherent in his dad's 50-plus-year-old construction. The restorer gave the stool back its missing leg and painted it a gorgeous royal blue. On one of their family's outings for Sunday lunch, Pat's children arranged to have a surprise waiting for him. When he got back to his room, the made with love, sturdy old wooden stool was there. The breath stuttered in his chest when he saw it. Pivoting slowly, he stared at Charlotte and Glenn where they stood in the doorway. Sneaky. And then he smiled.